Hello. So today I'm going to be starting my first episode of Theory Crafting, and we're going to be looking at Runecrafting 120, what could be in the update, or what could be the update if Jagex decides to listen to us in our comments below. But real quick, I want to give an update. If you want to skip this, I'm going to put a time down somewhere to, give you that option. If you're still here, you just grew 2 inches. But I do want to update you on the Hardcore Iron Man video. So I got the second one almost done, right? But it was almost the same as the first one. So I wanted to make sure that I did this series up really good. With that, it might be a good amount of time between episodes if I'm actually going to be doing some crazy shit. So that being said, I want to use these theory crafting episodes in between. And hopefully, they'll be pretty interesting to listen to. So 120 rune crafting update. I think there's a lot of ways you can go with this. One of my favorites is looking at the catalytic and elemental runes, right? There's a technically labeled a colossal, so didn't ascend to godhood, but Fiera, that worm-looking thing that's at the Fist of Guthix minigame. Apparently, Fiera's been living off of anima. They call it Anima Mundi, which is what helped her arrive to Colossus state, and also have a seemingly unlimited amount of these elemental and catalytic runes. But I think they would be a really, really cool addition to the game. So this is how I would craft this, right? And I'm going to leave this all down in the comment section below in a pinned comment so that you can see all of this. I kind of just wrote it up on some notes. Rule number 1, it would be that 1 Elder Rune consumes 2 pure essence per craft. We don't want too many Elder Runes in the game, and they would be untradeable. They're going to be super powerful, as you're going to see. So you want to make sure that it's going to be something that you put time into to get good stuff out of. Yeah. Number 2, the altar is going to be in the wilderness. It's going to be Guthix's sword. I think that would be a really, really good way to use that middle of the wilderness and also keep building on the wilderness hype. I feel like that's something that could easily integrate. But basically, the big idea here is to mix divine energy with invention, divination, and rune crafting all together. So let's go through the first rune you could make. Available at 103 rune crafting would be the elemental rune. This would obviously replace air, water, earth, and fire. Now, available at 110 rune crafting would be the Elder Elemental Rune. It basically consumes 1 Elder Rune per 2 Elemental Rune that you need. So, it's just a more OP Elder Rune. I think that would be a really cool update to that. And it would also help, we never know when something's going to be meta. And for the economy, it's already in a sorry state for the main game. So, I think anything that could ease just an overall burden on needing one thing. I'm looking at you, water runes. So I think that'd be pretty cool. The next one would be weak catalytic rune. That would be 107 rune crafting to craft that bad boy. Able to replace the use of a body, mind, cosmic, or chaos rune. So you could throw them all in there. And for a lot of people, body and chaos, those are runes, or cosmic for that matter, runes that you use very regularly if you're using Animate Dead or Smoke Cloud or Vengeance, any of those, Disruption Shield, those are going to be big for you. Next would be the Powered Catalytic Rune, requiring 112 rune crafting. It would replace Nature, Law, Astral, and Death runes, and also the previous rune replacements. So, it does everything before that. So, obviously, that would be the one. And then you've got the Elder Catalytic Rune requiring 118 rune crafting, way up there, that will replace Blood, Soul, and Armadillo runes, as well as the previous 2 tiers. So obviously, Elder Catalytic runes are going to be absolutely incredible, but if you're doing 120 rune crafting, I feel like you've got to go more in depth with some of the things you could really provide. So let's go to the next part. Oh, also, 120 rune crafting, you could have the 120 skill cape basically give you 2x Elder Rune a day up to 1,000 of any of those runes. So you only get 1,000 of those. After that it's done, but it should help you runecraft daily. So for the people that, 120 is a hell of a grind. So you want to make something for after that, that's super rewarding. I think that would be really nice. But yeah, back to linking Invention with 120 Runecrafting here. We could integrate rune span points where I'm currently at. This is a nice minigame, and you barely see anybody here anymore, and I think you could actually add some value to this place. But long story short, you would make this new invention item called the Animal Weaver. You'd make it with the small, medium, large, and giant pouches all together. That would make an equipable pouch in your offhand that would give you 24 rune essence per hold. And this pouch would do a lot of stuff, but yeah, it'd be augmentable as well, so I think that would be a really, really cool thing to have just equipped just regularly. But with this Animal Weaver, I think you should integrate stuff like if you've ever made a blessed flask in RuneScape before, it is nonsense. I mean, you need all these different quartz materials, you need positive energy from the Waco Islands, you need Alea sea salt, you need a bunch of stone spirits. So that's what I'm talking about with this Animal Weaver. Like, whatever needs to evaporate out of the game, looking at you, Neckrite stone spirits, let's put it in there and make sure that we really make this an item sink. Because, I mean, the reality is, they're only going to make one of these. That's it. So, yeah. And it would also be undegradable. I think that would be a cool thing to add to that thing. And you can also get your old pouches back. You can only have one of each pouch, that is true. But once you've made this, you can go get all your other pouches back. I think that would be cool. Long story short, this pouch, when you start crafting any Elder or Catalytic runes or Elemental runes, you have a percentage. I don't know what the percentage would be per se, but it could be balanced with the other stuff I'm going to talk about. But long story short, you would have a percentage of getting Death's Thread, right? Because we have Magical Thread for the rune pouches, and this could be Death's Thread, as in like Death's Shroud. Connecting Death, Gothics, Fiera, so you can add a lot of lore to this and possibly throw it in a quest, you know? Long story short, it gives you the access to Death's Thread, which can be used in a lot of different stuff. Now, this is the first thing I'd want it to be used in. It has been a long time. It has been since, like, Masterwork, unless I'm wrong, that we've had a top-tier PVM item be released solely from skilling. And I think that would be a really, really cool update to encourage skillers to enter the wilderness. I'm just going to go into it. So you'd have the Elder Wand and the Elder Singularity. Now this would be a T95 magic wand and offhand that would have the accuracy of T99 and the damage of T90. Really the main reason for that being, or it'd be T100, T90, I don't know if it worked anything like the Cyweir wand stuff. But long story short, there are so many people that when they use Mage, especially with the tier 92s we have access to now, or even the SOA, there are bosses that have higher defense than we have hit chance. And I would like to close that gap in a really cool way once and for all with at least one item magic, and I figured Runecrafting kind of helped it out a little bit. But you wouldn't be going crazy with the damage, you would just have 100% hit chance, which I think would be really, really cool. It'd be another cool option, and that's what we want. We're nearing 99, so we're kind of at that point where it's like, either I make something broken, or I make a lot of different things, right? So these weapons would be craftable only by death, kind of like the Ascension crossbows when you go to that dude outside the Slayer dungeon. You would have to go to Death himself. It would cost you 500 Reaper points to get him to make the thing, per thing. And they would both be makeable by 10 Divine Runic Fragments. And those would be obtained by the Runespan store. That's kind of my idea for that. They'd be 10,000 apiece, so basically you just buy them from the store. 100,000 Runespan points. 10 Death Threads, you'll get those crafting with the pouch and use them for this. 500 Reaper points to pay death, 1,000 Elder Catalytic runes, 1,000 Elder Elemental runes, so it will require very high rune crafting. It's obviously a very good weapon, so it needs, a high bar to entry. 100 of the new uncommon anima components. Now, I said I wanted to mix Invention here. I think it's a good idea. These would be obtainable from disassembling any of the resonant anima core that we get from God Wars Dungeon 3. They tried to make a sync for those with the rings, and the passive is incredibly expensive in anima core. But I really do think, I think it'd be a good item sync, and if you're disassembling 100 at a time for this uncommon component, I mean, it could take quite a bit of anima core, but I think it'd be a pretty good way to sync that item in game, or make it something you buy a lot of, because we do have tradable versions of that, so it's not like it's just going to be all grind, you know what I mean? And then as well as that, another thing I have added is 10 new rare divine components that are obtained from disassembling 10 elder runes at a time, divine runic fragments that you obtain from Runespan again, Shards of Armadil, or disassembling Death's Threads. So this would give an item sync to Shards of Armadil as well, keep that thing valuable, and keep Death Threads really, I don't know, you could choose. You could choose the runes, you could choose the threads, you could choose the fragments. There's a lot of ways you could go to make this or get these components. Yeah, either way, I think it'd be pretty hard to make this thing. And you could just add values to that, you know, if you wanted to make it even harder to get. But I think it's at a really good place, especially considering how few people will be able to make it and the time required to make it. So it may not be very expensive to make, but it takes a lot of time, and I think that really focuses on the skiller-made item that I'm trying to focus on. And one important note to be had on the death threads that you obtain from runecrafting, you only get those from the elder or elemental, catalytic, whatever, runes, the brand new runes. You only get those while you're doing that, so yeah, I think that'll be a pretty good way to keep those from coming in mass, and it'll keep the magical threads special. You gotta go to the Abyss for that one, you gotta go here for this one. So I think it'll also increase the price of rune pouches in general, because you won't have everybody doing Abyss runs from here on out. So I think that'd be pretty cool. But we really want to make the invention item that makes all of this possible expensive. You know, I've gotten 3 blessed flasks on Odie. I would say it should be about that barrier of entry to even get the pouch that lets you get the death threads and all the other stuff. Yeah, I think that's just a smart idea. If you're going to make a T95 weapon that's not obtainable from an RNG boss drop, and you're going to keep people from being salty, you got to make it pretty crazy. But let's talk about the new divine components that I was talking about earlier that was used to make the wand and orb. I also think 3 new invention perks could come along with this. Now, the first one would be a tool perk called Divine Benevolence. I think allowing a 10% more runes per essence to be added per rank of this perk, max rank 4, is a pretty good way to go about it. It'd be an expensive perk. Divine components obviously aren't easy to get, and you're going to be losing out on making the wand and the core if you don't, keep a lot of your death threads, or maybe you have to do a lot of shards of armadil over at Glaciers. Point is, you could grind it, but it's not going to be an easy perk to get, and I like that. And I think it'll really, really help out, considering that you can only craft 1 of these new runes per 2 pure essence. And I'm not saying 2 pure essence because that costs a lot of money. I'm saying it costs a lot of inventory space. I really mulled the idea around between 2 to 3 to craft these new high runes. And when I thought about the requirements to make the one in the orb with how many elder runes you need and how many runes you actually use in combat, it's like, how long is an elemental rune going to last you when you're using SOA crits? So I wanted to make them actually useful for a lot of the things that people do. And I think to do that, you got to add a lot of these perks that if you're doing everything right, you're going through this whole process, you have ways to increase your yield that make it, actually usable for things like Iron Men especially. The second perk, I would do a weapon perk called Divine Retribution. It has a max level of only 1. So this would be something you throw on with something else, But this perk has a 5% activation chance per hit and a 60-second cooldown. It gives you 15 seconds where you get I had this idea of this runic thing around you with like each element on each side of your character, and it's like the gods possessing you, and you have a 100% hit chance for 15 seconds. So it's like a portable sunshine. Well, maybe it shouldn't be a portable one. Maybe it stays in an area where it spawns something. I don't know. This is theory crafting after all, so I think that would help with the OP-ness of it too. I mean, 15% of a 100% hit chance, and you can just get that perk from grinding out Glaciers for Shards of Armadil for Divine Components. I think that's probably about right. Might be a good balance there. Last one would be an armor perk called Divine Intervention. So we've got Divine Benevolence, Divine Retribution, and Divine Intervention. Divine Intervention would allow a summoning scroll to be used at no summoning point cost and consume no scroll when used. It would have a cooldown of 30 seconds and a max level of 3. Each level reduces the cooldown by 3 seconds. So level 1's 30, level 2 is 27, and level 3 would be 24. Maybe a max level of 4 to make it a little bit better, but I think, it's going to be a good perk overall, and I think it'd just be something to have on if you wanted to. It'd really help out those high-tier PVMers. If I'm looking for a good armor perk that would be good, I think that would be a good one. But that's pretty much what I have so far. Like I said, I'm going to leave these notes down below, and I tried to include a lot of things. I thought about also, doing a new, armor or whatever else, but I mean, they changed the Vestments of Havoc last second into a melee set, and that's why it looks as goofy as it does for melee, where it looks like robes, because Mage was too overpowered at the moment. And so, if that's the case, I just don't see them releasing anything like that anytime soon, even through the Runecrafting update, but the Swan and Orb could seriously fill in Mage for good. Because, all we need at this point are, in my opinion, some thrown range weapons, T95. I think that would be cool, but some dual T95s. And, that's actually it. I think every class would have a 2-hand spec, and, I think we're there. That's pretty cool. So this could actually be the cherry on top of the pie. Give Magic a T95 that's dual wield, and chalk that up for now, and then kind of just play with it from there. But it would also not give you the best damage in the game. Like, if you could achieve 100% accuracy, Prey Soul Wand and Imperium Core would still be better than this new T95 I'm talking about. So, lots of cool ways to look at it, and I would love to see Catalytic runes come into the game. I just started this Iron, and I'm going to be using Legacy, and I use a lot of runes, so, man. Hope you leave your comments below, what you would add, what you would take away, and like I said, I'll have this whole thing out in the comments below so you can actually visualize it or read along with me when you watch the video. But yeah, I think it would be a really cool update. I'd love to hear what you guys think. I'm actually thinking about posting this on Reddit to see what they think as well, because it would be a really cool thing to have in the game, and I feel like it's just lacking. We see the Catalytic and Elemental runes, we see them, and we just can't use them, and it makes me so sad. But, hope you have a good one.